So, a call to end exploitation. And by the way, trigger warning, because there's going to be some details of child exploitation and, you know, probably won't get too into the details, but there might be some. So, I am so tired of pretending that there's not a deep, dark, pervasive evil that should be fully addressed as evil in our society. So, consciousness. So, as a culture, we have like this, well, we're kind of like a weird mixture of cultures. And we still have the shared goal, though, of protecting vulnerable people. It's been feeling like people have different levels of consciousness when it comes to embodying values that protect that goal. And I'm still trying to accept this, but it really does. It's kind of hard to accept. I really want everyone to be on the same page regarding such a fundamental issue. But nonetheless, there's some differences which, as I've been learning lately, can actually be used for the better. These things can actually be kind of good. It may just mean that we need to lean into our skills a certain way. So, my consciousness, as I describe it, is I sort of view the world as groups who play different parts in the war against child exploitation. And that's kind of like, and it's a bigger picture way of seeing things. And that's kind of how I think of my consciousness. I suppose I could go more into depth in my consciousness, quote consciousness another time, but largely it's like just kind of examining society, trying to figure out what the hell is going on, essentially. So I like to think of mine as just a more integrated way of thinking and observing everyone and sort of trying to speak different languages to unite people. I still have blind spots though, and it kind of sucks because I don't understand certain other groups or other consciousnesses, like negligent parents, for example. But moving on, right now there's a gap. There's a gap in justice currently. Evil prevails in some areas of the world, and it thrives in darkness as we speak right now. Here's a few examples from my personal findings. So, there's 2 Indian child predators targeting minors across the world, and they're not being found because of basically a long list of major and micro problems in the reporting and international justice processes. It's very unfortunate. I've been doing this work for a while. I've been kind of basically trying to understand exploitation for about 7 years now. And what I've been doing as part of one of my projects is trying to be open to people who want help navigating reporting problems like these, because obviously these happen all the time, 24/7. These kinds of problems, just, online predators, online predatorial systems, just anything online, anything with the technology that we have not balanced and checked yet as a society that is, hurting our young people. And so, of course, there are 2 Indian child predators who, and by the way, this is kind of like a lot to just drop on whoever the fuck is watching this, but there's 2 Indian child predators right now who, I have information on, and like I said, there's a long list of major and small problems that are allowing them to just kind of be fine. So that's the first major gap in justice. The second of which is Americans, and most people, honestly, are not being conscious of the indirect consequences of their actions, which enables exploitative systems and people. The third, the most talented people among us, and then alongside them, the people with potential to play a part in this war, but who may be depressed because of the ills of the modern world, those two people are not finding a role in ending the most important problem of our time, right? Well, multiple problems. I mean, that can go for everything. So there's sort of a injustice pertaining to talent of people not being actualized. And to me, it happens twofold. It happens with people who know that they have talent and who are, you know, they put their skills into things that aren't exactly relevant, though. They don't like improve society, which is very, very sad to me. And that's for reasons, but also it's just the people, and there's so many young people who are just depressed and isolated in this world, and I don't blame them, but nonetheless, I have a strong sense of purpose and I have a light to give to this world, so that's why I'm speaking it out loud, is not to dwell in it, but it is to work towards solutions. We live in the age of action right now, and with my content, with the things that I do, I quite honestly, I do want to inspire strangers, because it will be these strangers online who will finally understand me and who I can best help, because of the distance between us in terms of our thinking will be shortened. So people on here who I may end up be reaching will be more like-minded and who will understand the urgency and who will understand what I'm talking about here, quite honestly. Everyone will to some extent, probably, but some more than others, I suppose. So moving on, a checked and balanced society. This is the ideal. So abusers are integrated into normal life. Again, abusers are very well integrated just into our modern world, just across society. They're just there. And they're normal people. So abusers are normal people. It's very interesting. And that's true in a couple different senses, but we have abusers. And systems of abuse prevention should be built in from the beginning in every different community. So I believe in like a decentralized world, but with extreme accountability and with living by virtues still, right? It's a lot to ask for, I know. It's very ambitious. But that's okay. I'm very ambitious. It's kind of who I am. It's like, of course I want to accomplish amazing things in life, even if it kills me. I don't mind if it kills me. I just really want to get this kind of stuff done, I want to make a difference. I want exploitation to end, as you know. So, they should be built in. Absolutely, under all circumstances. The community that I sort of live in, I don't believe it has adequate anti-exploitation measures. And so I'm still figuring out, what to say about that, how to deal with that. But unfortunately, what I just said is the average. That is the average of most people, most communities. It's just not quite enough anti-exploitation measures built in, unfortunately. And so I just call it the painful average. It's very sad. So moving on, an example sort of relating to my work. So I'm going to talk about Alex Rosen, who is a predator hunter, catches predators. That's like the unofficial terminology for it. The official terminology, I guess, would be he's a vigilante. Not quite sure, but Alex Rosen, right? He's completely insensitive to queer people, and he uses the N-word very casually. But he does the most important anti-predator work, maybe minus the comedy aspect of it. I don't know. Like, it could be argued that when you sit down with a child predator and get all the information on them, get them to admit to, get them to confess essentially that, maybe there shouldn't be a comedy aspect, or maybe there shouldn't be a self-promotion aspect to a video like that. But then again, that's sort of a more minor criticism. I don't know regarding that. But, like, point is, maybe there's a couple flaws in his work, but largely it has a lot of support. I can't think of anyone who would oppose it. So, but I guess one of my points here is it's Alex's job to make use of his natural understanding of life, his natural gifts, to stop exploitation in the way that he does. It's very good. It's kind of a rabbit hole of content, and it is kind of depressing to watch, but nonetheless, I've watched it. Just like fucking. Yeah, it's not the happiest content to watch, but people want to see it, right? Not everyone. Again, there's different consciousnesses, different groups, as I've been saying, but there's many people like Alex who could do that kind of work, to where that comes naturally to them, that method of it. Then there's many different groups of people. There's other people like me who want to stay more so on just the activism side of things, like a sort of peaceful activism. Yeah. So I think his work is great because he gets objective admissions, confessions from predators, to create sort of a clean case that law enforcement can then deal with. Because one of the gaps in justice is that, law enforcement, maybe they're under equipped as well. Maybe that's another gap in law enforcement. But also public attention. He has the public on his side, and that can then be used for social shame, which I believe is good. It's like shaming someone who's just like harmful, just completely harmful. Shame and then removal, I guess. I think of it in more of just like a very, very neutral sense, sort of how I think of it. Obviously, I still indulge in sort of like laughing about the predators, but I'm not exactly proud of that. In a way, more so I just want to, think of them as just being removed, just carefully removed. Like, you're going to harm people in this horrible, horrible way. Okay, well, just no. Like, and that's just, it's a very nice way of thinking about things for me. And then last, the reason I like his work is because public accountability for law enforcement through his audience. I mean, there was an instance where the law enforcement showed up to one of his predators who he got to confirm that the person was a predator. Law enforcement came and then was just like, nah, like, fuck it, right? And then just walked away, allowing that predator to go and delete his evidence, after he'd been caught. So what happened was the audience of Alex, they went over to the local PD. They reached out to the local PD, and they essentially got the local PD, the attention of the sheriff, a higher ranking individual, to then go a couple hours later to the predator's house and bring justice. So that's great. I think that's great. That's a great example of just like checks and balances. It's fucking great. So moving on, I guess my work, the stuff that I do, it originally was a very low level, just like weak version of what Alex kind of did. Is kind of how I think of it. Low level anti-predator operations, which I actually got questioned about from police. It was really hilarious. But yeah, that's kind of my work. But then again, it's evolved over time, and I don't know, I might advertise that here in a minute, most likely. But so there's an individual known as Haley McNamara, and she's one of the heads of National Center on Sexual Exploitation, I believe. And she embodies a different approach to ending exploitation, right? a more peaceful, wise, passionate, and systemic approach to ending exploitation. That's how I think of it. Her work is great because she connects many different kinds of people, sort of a different way. She has a higher level of like structure and accountability behind her work because it's just more official. It, you know, it's more official, right? And also, it's just less controversial. So it's really nice. She focuses on like legal reform, those types of things. So just I think it's beautiful just watching this two like I watch content from both of these creators and I'm just like wow, like it's beautiful from my perspective because I'm essentially just seeing like two very different ends of anti-exploitation work being carried out, and it's just like it really does make me feel like such a huge portion of the society does actually care about child exploitation. But again, there's gaps, and the gaps need to be filled, right? So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking. So my approach for my own anti-exploitation work is it's a more integrated and small scale operation embodying like these values. I try to work by values, just by like guiding virtues essentially. I would like to co-found a values driven anti-predator system, legal of course, which could fall under the vigilante work umbrella, but would more it'd more so be integrated into the anti-controversy and pro-accountability values, and it would actually not really be that. So if you want to co-create with me or see if you would be aligned, maybe see what I've been up to, then see my website. It's endce.org. CE meaning child exploitation, of course. My least favorite thing in the whole world. So moving on. Exploitation is baked in. God. I always say this. Americans can't control which systems they support, and the systems they're dependent on are founded atop exploitation. They're just founded on a base of exploitation. It's like exploitation upholds our prosperity. And it's very unfortunate. It's like a political cartoon where you just have like a bunch of like emaciated like half naked people just like holding up like a big fat rich guy or something like that. It's insane. Everything from basic goods like chocolate, sugar, and fabrics. It's everything from just those small things all the way up to our government being corrupt and hated, even by us. Like, even we hate them, and yet we still support them, of course, because we don't have any control over the systems that we support. Obviously, I'm trying to change that. Remember, I'm for a firm passion that we can turn this ship around 100%, and I will 1000%, and I'm just not going to stop until. By the way, I'm just not going to fucking stop until I wake up one day, I go over to my computer, and there's just a headline, and it's like something like most of Americans are starting to wake up to just like the exploitation of our time, and it's just like a mass uprising is happening, like a mass peaceful revolution. I'm not gonna give up until that happens. So if you could just do me a favor, help get that going, right? Oh my god, bro, this is so funny. What the fuck? I mean it though. Like, I mean it. Like, I'm tired of exploitation, bro. Such a boring word. I've been saying it like millions of times, like with these videos and stuff, and just to people around me. It's just, yeah. Yeah, when I say exploitation, I don't just mean abusers hurting children. I mean all of it. Just all of it. So it's going to be an act of courage to remove ourselves from these systems, but we certainly can. And I'd encourage you to go alongside me in either reforming our current system or building the parallel system as you see appropriate. Many people do not have any faith in our current system. So we might want to build the parallel system, but then again, our current system, that's where people are putting their talent. That's where the people we have currently are at. So I want to try to embody a more integrated approach of just understanding all of these different aspects of people. Maybe trying to speak multiple languages in a sense to just unite people. Or, at the very least, I want to find people who are aligned with this mission, this vision. It's going to be an act of courage, my friends. But I don't think we have to do this alone. Find your people. We have the internet right now. So I would encourage you just find your people, find your cause. The word cause is kind of iffy because everyone should be a supporter of every cause in a way. So, find people. We have the internet. This is how I've found my best friends legitimately. I've literally found my best friends in the best places in the world through the internet. So that's how we'll connect, I imagine. Find your people. And I guess I want to mention something, and that of course is Island Man. His name starts with an E. He's very famous. He's related to Donald Trump. Shouldn't have even said his name either. A lot of people hate him, but I think you know who he is. His name starts with an E. There are files documented about him. So, anyway, you know who he is. It's a public spectacle, right? And this event, this spectacle, is a great collective example that we can all talk about. I think it's great. I used to hate it. Actually, I still hate it. But it's kind of great because it's our favorite story, right? Everyone just loves to talk about it, just yap about it 24/7. And since this is our common language to understand the hell of child exploitation, we must remember that this happens across multiple arenas, so to speak, of abuse, and just all over the world as well. This type of stuff happens everywhere. Did you hear about the tunnels that were made underneath an elementary school, I think it was, to abuse kids in a ritualistic context? Yeah, no, you might not have. Dear God. And by the way, it feels disgusting. It feels weird. It felt really weird to write that part of the script of the video, because I had only just recently heard about this, right? And it just feels like so dark that, first of all, you don't even want to talk about it because of how evil it is. And I don't even know how many people know about it. I never heard anybody else talk about it. But I'm not trying to scare people or sensationalize it. I'm trying to make a point here. It fills me with a strange dark emotion. But maybe you've heard about it before, because maybe you're in the group of people who like to actually learn about the most vile individual exploitation scenarios, right? There's a group of people who, they like to learn. They like to soak in the shit that people do, and then just fucking dive deep into it. Maybe try to offer some insight or something. I don't know. There's people who are comfortable with that. I go off and on, but generally I'm not comfortable with just hearing about the in-depth type of shit, right? I wouldn't be someone to watch just true crime videos on YouTube, I guess. Man. Yeah, that's not me. People like me can't so easily hear about that stuff. By the way, there's another rape island in Michigan. Did you know that? I don't know. It's just stuff like that. It might go undiscovered. There's another child exploitation island in Michigan. I don't know if it was rape. I'm sorry. There's another. At this point, you've already understood the trigger warning of this video, so I guess it's fine for me to say that. But there's another one in Michigan. Hello, what the fuck? My point is, at what point will enough, when we say, oh God, that's too much, that's horrible, at what point will enough be enough? Do you get what I mean? Something needs to happen, my friends. So, final chapter of this video, a call to action. Enough talking about the fucking story. It's time to take action. When will Island Man's situations finally be enough? I've demonstrated that we all have different cultures and consciousnesses regarding these things. Now it's time to make them more integrated into the whole and to lean into our roles. I'll just give you a quick quote here. We must widen our circle of compassion to encompass all living things and the whole of nature in its beauty. The individual is not just an individual. He experiences himself as an individual, but he's not. He's part of a whole, called by us the universe. Paraphrased quote from Albert Einstein. So I always say this, but everyone has a role in fighting the evil of our time. I hope that, I genuinely just hope that means something to you, by the way. I really want that to mean something to you, by the way. I've seen so many just people who are just purposeless in a way, but also who want to serve. They want to serve a great higher purpose than themselves. I hope that means something to you. Everyone has a role, period. I know this because the worst evils, I've already kind of demonstrated, but also another reason, the worst evils, they start inside of all human beings. They start in human beings, of which we are a member. So everything from just the desire to commit evil ourselves to being negligent towards evil, just kind of turning a blind eye, just kind of finding a way to ignore it, not look at it, and even justifying it. That happens too, just justifying evil. So my friends, the war starts at home. The war is at home, you know what I mean? The war, in a way, it starts when you go to the store and buy sugar, and the sugar is actually produced with what could be child labor or forced labor, right? So it starts with that, but then it's also in other aspects of your life where maybe you're not directing your talent towards. And by the way, I'm nobody to say where you should direct your talent. I'm telling you my thoughts. I'm telling you what I truly believe to be important here. So I hope that means something. You don't have to direct your whole life towards just, I don't know, rescuing children at National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you have talents. And to imagine that, people with talents don't care, or maybe they care, but they just don't put their energy towards fighting exploitation. You are needed. I guess I'm more so upset with just purposeless people. Not upset with them, but with the idea of being purposeless. It makes me very sad, just all the young people, as I've mentioned, just not able to find a place in the society. And I just sort of, with my content, I'm almost trying to encourage a revolution where hopefully young people will realize that hey, exploitation is built in. It's just fucking built into our society from the bottom up, and something needs to be done. That's my goal here, my friends. So we live in the age of action. We have to start doing things. We don't have to overplan, but we do have to get the ball rolling. So come work with me. That's an option. You could come work with me. I have projects that I want to do. If you may align with them, or if you just want to see what I'm up to, that's an option. I'm also just in general open to being contacted by people for whatever reason. I think it would be nice to talk and get some more feedback, essentially. But also, my friends, do your part. Like, if you're not going to contact, like, you don't have to. Just do your part. If there's a conviction, if there's a personal desire to do more that you haven't quite leaned into, just do it. It's hard to talk about these things because I don't always get a lot of feedback for them. So I'm at risk of just kind of like talking and it just sort of being like a self echo chamber, just like talking in a tunnel. And I don't want that to be the case. I do want us to unite and connect. So that's my wish. My wish is that something will be done. My wish is that I will get criticism and collaboration. And my wish is that, exploitation will just fucking die. Because, like, it's time. It's very ambitious. It's very ambitious to wish for exploitation to die, but maybe more specifically, what I want is a fire. A fire to be ignited in our society. Like I mentioned, that, like, ideal news headline that I might read, something like that. A fire that says, yes, things are happening. I want to ignite that fire. So that's all I have to say, and thank you for watching.